And we're not muted anymore. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Starjump Station. This is episode 4. Can everyone hear us okay tonight? Hopefully so. Let us know in chat. Let us know in chat if you can't. I am Grim. With me is Starlet, as always. And Ender's not here tonight. It's his birthday, but he's not here. He's got family in town. But we're very fortunate to have Execute joining us from the Info Runners. How you doing, Execute?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you stopping by and filling the Ender seat tonight. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
Cool. I'm hearing from chat that sound is good. So real quick, we probably have kind of a long show tonight, so we're going to kind of get into it and not waste a bunch of time talking about our weeks. We're going to essentially walk through kind of a presentation. If you've been seeing the posts we've made this week, tonight's show is going to be all on the CCU metagame. We thought that was pretty apt considering the IAE begins, is it next Friday, the 19th, I believe?
Yep.
Yeah, so I can't believe it snuck up on us, man. So anyways, IAE coming up, so it's really good to kind of have this knowledge going into IAE to possibly save some money. So, here in a second, we're going to jump into that. Starlet's going to walk us through this entire thing, and we have kind of chapter breaks in between each section where we can do some discussion amongst all three of us and take any questions from the chat. But before we get started, Execute, tell us a little bit about Info Runners for anyone that's here that for some reason is not familiar with Info Runners, even though they should be.
I'm really bad at self-promotion. I'm probably known for that. I don't know. Info Runners, I guess we deep dive a lot of stuff, talk about a lot of topics, kind of go into depth. We do like to speculate, but we do it in a really big group, so you kind of have a lot of logic that comes in there. We get lots of different professions in there. Starlet comes on. I don't think I've ever had you on, actually, now I think about it. But, yeah.
I was on a Fix My Fleet, though.
Oh, that's right. You were too.
I was on a Fix My Fleet.
Yeah. My memory's terrible. So, yeah. So we do Fix My Fleets as well. So the AIE this year round, I will be no lifing for 2 weeks. So I will, basically every day we'll be doing the sale and stuff like that. And it's our most popular time of year because there is just not a lot of people that kind of help other people. That's kind of what we do. We try to save people a lot of money. I know Starlet has used our advice quite extensively with her stuff. And Starlet herself is very good at doing it. She's taken a lot what we've learned and probably learned more than what we know in some regards.
They're your fighters.
Yes.
I've got that mantra stuck in my head, so I've pretty much sold most of my fighters. I will say too, if you haven't checked out the Info Runners and Execute, you specifically do a show that I find really cool where you bring in experts in a certain profession in real life and they talk about that profession in game and what it could be and what it should be and that's really one of the most fascinating unique bits of content I think for Star Citizen that's out there. So for those that have not watched those, you really should. I think I know you did one on like radar and stuff recently that was really good.
It can be hard to find people. Trying to find a guy that worked in a sub that took like 6 months.
Yeah,
but there's just people just don't have the insight, and you kind of don't know what you don't know as a human.
Yeah.
And he, because of where he worked, he just had these experiences that I didn't have, and it's a very good series that kind of sheds some light on it. And the thing I found is CIG is doing a lot of research into this stuff. They are I get epiphanies when I watch the episodes because I don't get a lot out of these episodes obviously anymore because I've kind of been doing it for so long. But when you do an episode and you're talking to an expert and they shed a little bit of light, you just have this epiphany on something that the gameplay could be or something like that.
Yeah.
So personally, I get more out of those episodes than anything. I think those of us that have been here for a long time would get stuff out of those episodes more than they would say a regular episode.
Yeah. Well, very cool, everyone. Again, if you haven't checked out the Info Runners, go on to their YouTube channel and check them out. They got, at this point, it's probably thousands of bits of content content on there. So go check them out. So let's dive into this real quick. Again, I know we have a lot to get through. So Starlet, I'll kind of hand it over to you, and you can kind of kick off what what tonight's topic is, and get us rolling. And then again, everyone in chat, as well as our hosts, there'll be natural points here where we can stop and have conversations. But to keep the flow of this meta game going, and so everyone can understand it, we'll try to get through each section before we do questions. So Starlet, take it away.
Sure. Yeah, this is going to be tough, actually. So we're going to go through the whole CCU metagame thing. What is the CCU metagame? So when you buy ships in Star Citizen with real money, you can buy standalone ships, you can buy ships in packs, or you can upgrade a standalone ship or a ship in a pack to a new ship. And it's a way to, I guess, change your mind on a ship you already have. But it turns out that the way they apply their discounts and things, and the way that ship prices change over time, you can use CCUs to get more for your money, if you like. Not necessarily save money. So let's start with a few disclaimers first. And I don't know how to make this fun. I mean, this is really dull stuff, right? So we're going to PowerPoint our way through it and just get the information out there and have a few laughs after. And hopefully, everyone in chat, please put your questions in. It'd be really cool if I've missed anything or if any information's wrong. And by the way, thanks, Grim, for all the work on visualizing this. It's so cool.
No problem. And to answer anyone's questions of why it's all visualized, we're going to be making a standalone video on this as well. That's not in stream format. That'll live on the channel as well, that other people can reference and stuff like that. So,
yeah, and we'll take any feedback and edit so that there's a single place for all this information, I think. So the CCU game does not save you money. If you spend money in Star Citizen, it's spent money. It doesn't save you any money. That's ridiculous. But it can help you get more for what you do spend, which is quite neat. Don't spend more than you can afford. We're not advocating spending money in Star Citizen here for spending's sake. And almost all ships will be available in the game for UEC. You don't actually have to buy ships. You can go in with an Aurora and have a great time, and actually possibly even have a better time than someone who starts with lots of javelins. Who knows? So, so the CCU game is works based on a bunch of rules that CIG has set with his store and how they manage their products, how they price their products, and the rules around what you can do with your pledges. And these rules can change at any time. So anything we say here today is to the best of our knowledge about how it currently works, and it's very likely that there'll be lots of little changes along the way as we go forward. So
that's the only consistency with CIG, is that they're inconsistent.
There will be changes. There is a danger to playing this game because it really does encourage people to spend more than they planned or spend more than they realize, perhaps, because it all adds up. So do be careful with your spending. And you don't have to do this to enjoy Star Citizen. If you just want to buy a ship and have fun with it, just buy a ship and have fun with it. This is something for people who are interested in getting more for their money.
Yep.
Can I add to that? I would say budget, and I would actually make your rule number 6 rule number 1. Is in you don't have to spend money on Star Citizen. I think that's probably the most important thing.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, let's start with the basic rules of the shop and how it works. So all ships in Star Citizen have a ship value, and you can find these in the pledge store. If you go forward one, Grim.
Okay.
Yep. So when you're in the pledge store, you click on upgrades, you click on all ships, and it'll show you every ship that they list, which is almost every ship in the game, and it'll show you the price on the left-hand side there, and that's the ship value, and that's not necessarily what you have to pay for a ship, but that's the default price that you would pay without considering anything like discounts or changing prices over time. So you can make that. You can refer to that whenever you need to know what a ship costs. And you can see on the next slide. Oops, you skipped one there.
Oh, did it?
Did you? I wasn't
Sorry?
looking. So you can see that as you go down, the prices start from about $20 and go all the way down to about $750 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's quite a bit of a scroll depending on the ships you have.
Yeah, there's lots of them now.
Yeah.
And we'll probably get about 50 more before the game goes live, I guess. So,
Yep.
Yep.
So all ships have an official value. You click your upgrades panel, you click show all, you can see them all there. After you purchase a ship and it's in your hangar, no matter what you paid for the ship, it still has a ship value. So even if you paid, even if you got a 10% discount on a ship that was $100, so you paid 90, you would still have that ship in your hangar, and it would still have a ship value of $100. The ship values are most important when it comes to buying upgrades. So when you want to upgrade from one ship to another, the difference between the two ships' values will be used as the default price for that upgrade.
Mm.
And ship values tend to increase over time. And we've seen an amazing example of that recently with the BMM, but we'll go into that in a bit.
Yeah. Cool.
Insurance. So if you bought a ship, you would have seen the pledge in your hangar. It has an area at the bottom where it says the ship has a certain amount of insurance. There are a number of different sort of standard insurances that can come with ships. Some have 2 months, some have 10 years, some have lifetime. It depends on when you buy that pledge. And at some sales, like IAE, the insurance is, I think, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So some upgrades from the upgrade part of the store also include insurance. And in the case of upgrades, when you apply insurance to a pledge, the highest insurance wins. Both will be listed. And a super key point of all of this is that when you upgrade a ship with a CCU, upgrading it does not remove any of the insurances. It only adds, with the highest winning.
Right. Insurance is one of those things. There seems to be a lot of controversy over how much its value is really there.
Yeah. There's been lots of different pledges with lots of different levels of insurance. I think the two to watch out for are 10-year insurance, which is always sold at IE so far, and lifetime insurance, which is always sold at the concept of the concept sale for the ship. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't see LTIs being that important, if I'm honest, and it's not something that I would pay extra for. But it is something that
It's
if you get it for free,
it's a tool they use to make you buy stuff. Put it that
yeah,
way at the moment.
yeah, it's definitely a FOMO engine. But if you get it for free, great, get it. But don't go out of your way to try and get LTI perhaps over 10-year, depending on how you feel about it. The way I see it is that if you can't afford in-game insurance in 14 years' time, 4 years after the game goes live, you've got another 10 years worth of insurance, then something's wrong. So 10 years fine. And
it's maybe worth $15. Any more than that, and it's not worth it. I've seen people that want to, like certain ships, they want to pay hundreds of dollars to get it, and no, it's not worth it.
Right.
Yeah. The curious thing might be around trading ships in game, and if they take the insurance with them when trading ships in game, it might give your ship a little bit more value to other players, but not for the sake of insurance itself.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool.
So you can see on your pledge in your hangar, Next slide, I think,
Yep.
Grim. There's a little bit down the bottom there where it says also contains, and you can find your insurances in there. The insurance applies to the whole pledge. So if there's multiple ships in that pledge, there'll be just the highest level of insurance applies to the whole pledge.
Mm-hmm.
And all the ships within.
Right.
And there's an example there of multiple insurances on one pledge.
Who did that?
So,
That's shockingly bad. Who?
me. Why?
Really?
Why?
3 months, 120, 120, 120.
That ship is real protected.
Yeah. Whoa. I've never seen one with 5 on it before. That's crazy.
By the way, real quick.
These are rookie numbers.
His Divine Shadow,
take a
thank you for
screenshot.
the tier 1 sub gifts. Thank you so much, as always.
Gotta put that in the meme channel.
I'll tell you.
So what I'm trying to say here is that it doesn't matter. They all accumulate. CIG said the highest level of insurance wins. So in this case, whatever insurance I put on this pledge, it's going to be lifetime anyway for all of the ships in that pledge.
Yep.
And I think the other thing to really state here is Chris Roberts did come out and say, if you spent money on a ship in my game, you're not going to lose it. So the most logical way to look at this is lifetime insurance probably means you're just going to get your ship back quicker. That's probably what it is. Like, you know how you got to sit there and wait? You're probably just going to have wait for longer if you don't have your ship insured, but you paid money for it. That would be the most logical thing.
Does make some sense.
Yep.
Okay, so game packages. So to be able to access Star Citizen, you need a game package. It's super confusing because they use the word pack and game package interchangeably, and they use the word pack for things that aren't a game package as well. It's so stupid. Nevertheless, so you have to make sure that one of your pledges has a game package included. That will usually include some in-game currency. It may include Squadron 42 access, and it may be, if you have more than one of them on your account, there's rumors that they will use the spare ones for NPC slots in the future. We don't even know what that is, and we don't even know what they are or what how that will reflect on our actual gameplay. But it may not be wasted to have multiple packs.
So having multiple packages on one account, you mean, right?
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's not clear. But you only need one, because that gives you your access to Star Citizen. But some people like to have more than one, just in case. I don't see any real reason for it, actually, to be honest, because I think that if the NPC slot thing comes out, they'll sell NPC slots. That's $15 a slot or something. I don't know.
Have you met Algrid?
Uh-huh.
He has a metagame package. Like some like Pokemon. Anyway.
Next. So you can see in the store, packs have a little pack thing written on them. Have the word package, and those are, you need one of those to get started, essentially. And when that's in your hangar, if you go to the next slide, you'll see it'll say Star Citizen Digital Download.
Mm-hmm.
With some insurance, because it's got a ship, and with some UEC.
Right.
I'm waiting for them to make that Saber Raven lifetime. But anyway.
Me too.
Mm.
So, yeah. The RSI site allows you to have this, allows you to have a credit, which is equivalent to your local currency, I guess. I haven't seen Euro, but at least USD. You can maintain a balance with RSI, which is effectively dollars that you can respend on pledges. So once you buy a ship or a pledge, you can melt that ship or pledge. That will return you the credit that was spent on the pledge originally.
Mm-hmm.
And you can then use that credit again to buy more pledges, but only of certain types. what have we got here on the next one? So if we go down to, melting.
Yep.
So you can see I've got an Argo Maltellus. I'm going to melt it. It's 275 USD, which is what I paid for it, not the ship value, but actually what I paid for it. And when I put my password in and click the button, it will remove that pledge from my hangar, and it will put 275 in my credit that I can spend again.
And it's good to note too that obviously a lot of people that have been playing Star Citizen even for as short as 6 months are possibly used to this or they've been to a big sale. But as we know, especially I know specifically me, like a ton of new people coming into the game, even in just the last month. Our Endeavor episode that we did a couple episodes ago on Starjump Station, I had a comment saying, "What's the Endeavor?" Like there are people that are coming to this game for the first time, and it's sometimes good to remember that sometimes this whole melting things and getting that credit while we're used to it, they have no idea what you're talking about. And, that's kind of why we're boiling this down to this basic level here.
Yeah. Cool. And it's really important because these little details make everything work. And without them, it wouldn't work in terms of getting more for your money. Where are we? Okay, so you can mount any pledge, that amount will be returned. If the pledge was upgraded with a ship upgrade, you'll still get the money you paid for the upgrade, but you won't be able to use that upgrade again. That upgrade is lost to you. And you cannot use store credit to purchase things that are not Warbond, and we'll go into Warbond in a moment. Another aspect to the store is gifting. So can we pop to the next slide?
Yes. Gifting.
So if you buy a pledge, you have it in your hangar. If you bought that pledge with real cash, you can actually gift that to someone else. And it can be kind of useful. So I try and make sure all my pledges are giftable. And the reason being, we don't know in the future what it means to have a pledge attached to one account. If you might want to move pledges onto separate accounts, depending on how the game evolves. I'm not sure. Also, you can help friends out if you want to gift your ship to someone else, or you've got a group of people that you want to bring into Star Citizen and you want to send them a ship. You can do so. It just gives you some flexibility with things to do with that pledge, apart from simply melt it. So it's kind of nice to have a gifting button there. Can only be used once. So once a ship is gifted, the person who receives it cannot re-gift it again.
I've made this
there's
mistake
a way around
before,
that.
by the way.
Yeah, there's kind of a way around that, but it's not entirely true. Essentially, the cash that bought that ship can only be gifted once.
Gotcha.
So when we melt a pledge, it goes into a place called buybacks. We're going to go into buybacks shortly. You can actually buy that pledge back again with real cash, and it becomes giftable again for one time. So you kind of can move pledges around if they're not available in the store, but it's really about real cash can be gifted only once. And you can't gift more than $1,000 thanks to international law.
Which makes my Kraken all the much safer, meaning I can never gift it, so no one asks.
Safer. Actually, people do that. People do specifically make sure that their pledges are not giftable. It gives them a feeling of security that it's stuck to their account.
Right.
Personally, I just have two-factor authentication on at all times.
What's funny, though, is that on my Kraken, I've noticed this specifically, it still says gift there. There's like an option there to gift it. I've never clicked the button, but I imagine it takes you to a this won't work page. But it makes me nervous to be in there.
No, any pledge over $1,000 won't be giftable. The button's there, it'll error and say you can't gift this because the value's too high.
Gotcha.
And upgrading, and this is key, upgrading a ship that was purchased with credit. Sorry, upgrading a ship with an upgrade that was purchased with credit does not change the gift status of that ship. Which also applies to insurance. So if we go through and have a look there, we should see a gift button at the end of this Tell Us Mole.
I may have not went all the way down. We can see it up there at the top here. Yeah, with the little icon here at the right hand side. Gift.
Yep. So next we'll just quickly cover Warbond. So any product marked Warbond can only be purchased with real money. So this makes real money more valuable in the Star Citizen world. And Warbond usually comes with a discount as well on the product. Ships, hangar flare, and upgrades can all be sold as Warbond potentially. And any ship, of course, purchased as Warbond is purchased with cash and therefore is giftable. Nothing strange there. So if we look in the shop, next slide.
Sorry, coming up.
You can see it says Warbond there on two of those products and not Warbond on the other one. So you could use store credit on the third one. You can't use store credit on the first two.
Gotcha.
Here's a picture of an upgrade. Is that actually Warbond? I'm not sure. But if you go into the upgrade area and there is a Warbond CCU for sale, you can. It will say Warbond only, and you can purchase it with real cash only.
Yeah.
And it'll usually come with a discount or special stuff.
Yeah. We might have to alter this slide for the standalone video. Just so everyone knows, if our pictures are covering up any type and stuff, these slides are going to be used for our standalone video, which will be edited and cut down to explain this. This is more the discussion version of this topic. So,
okay, so we're getting there. We're over halfway, I think.
Yeah, we're cruising along.
So another way to get ships into your hangar is through referral. So there's a referral program where you can have a friend sign up for Star Citizen with your code. As soon as they pledge $40, you get one referral. And these ships are a little bit different to normal pledges because you can't gift them, you can't melt them. Although Concierge may be able to help you to melt them if they feel nice. But this is really important for consideration when upgrading because you can't melt them, you can't change your mind, and you can only ever upgrade up. But we'll get to that in a second.
And keep that in mind too. If you're close to the concierge threshold and feel like spending more money to get you there will give you like customer service that's always solving your problems. They won't always solve every issue you have. They will obviously try to help you where they can, but if it's, for example, if it's a time limited ship or something, they're not just going to say, yeah, here's an Idris for you to purchase, even when it's a non-IAE or Invictus time. They don't do it. So they can be very helpful though, but
we've actually had reports that they're harder to deal with. So yeah.
So
next slide. Okay, so it's just off. So I see. My PDF's a little bit different.
Sorry.
So here's the referral screen, and at the very top there, actually maybe the second line, there's a current referral bonus of an Argo cargo. Now this is actually a pretty cool bonus because you refer one person and you get a $35 ship that has LTI. Kind of handy. And
that's the slide
free,
here. Sorry.
Essentially, yeah.
Yep.
And if you were planning to put some cash into the game anyway, to use for something that could have been purchased with credit, you can make your own account, refer yourself, wait 1 month. I think it is the minimum time to gift, and then you can just gift the whatever you bought on that account to your main account, melt it, and you have the credit and you have the referral. So there's a bit of trickery you can do there to collect a few free little ships. but they all have lifetime insurance, which is very important.
And isn't there, you talk about the cooldown, isn't there, am I mistaken, or is there a 24-hour cooldown between gifts? Is that
There's a
correct?
24-hour cooldown on from. Is it? There's a. No, What is it? I can't remember. I'm sorry.
I'll have to look
Is
into that.
It might be. I don't think you can mount it for 24 hours after you purchase it.
Oh, okay. Did you want me to go back to this page?
Nope.
Okay.
We're good. All right. So here's the Argo cargo. That was actually that referral ship.
Yep.
And contains lifetime insurance.
That's currently going on right now, I believe, right?
Yeah, and this is kind of valuable because the Argo cargo is a very cheap ship. So, being that you can only upgrade up, this means that this will go just fine when you want to upgrade into any ship, basically at all, nearly. There's very few ships that you can't upgrade this to.
Yeah.
Just based on its ship value.
And I don't know about how much this ship is in game, but I'm guessing if I went to Info Runner school properly and graduated properly, that this is probably a ship you shouldn't be buying with real money because it's probably pretty cheap just to get in game. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but it's a good little ship for what it does.
Yep.
It is a very good ship.
We can debate that.
Look, like with the whole thing with sell your fighters, we're not saying ships are bad. We're just saying they're not good value and that they're very easy to obtain in game. And so you should.
I'm in complete agreement with not getting one with cash. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
that's a great rule.
So here we start to get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
So ship upgrades. Let's go into ship upgrades and cover off what they are. So they simply upgrade one ship to another. There's a whole bunch of ships in the game that you can't get upgrades for, which we're calling limited ships, usually over $1,000. Javelin, Idris, $890. Pioneer, you can't get upgrades to those ships. Hull E at the moment. There's a few tricks with upgrades. The target ship must always be higher in ship value than the source ship. And the default cost for purchasing one of these upgrades is simply the difference in ship values.
Mm-hmm.
And you can upgrade ships that have already been upgraded, and insurance is not removed at all when applying an upgrade. Next slide. Sometimes when you buy an upgrade, if it's a special deal, there might be additional things that come with that upgrade, like extra insurance, or hanger flare, or a special skin. And one of the key things about the CCU game is that once you've purchased an upgrade from one ship to another, for whatever price you paid for it, and for whatever ship values were set to at the time you bought it, it's all irrelevant. Once it's in your hangar, it's simply from and to a particular ship. And it doesn't matter what the ship value is at the time you apply that upgrade, which is super important for what we're going to cover shortly. And along with any pledge, if you buy with credit, you can't gift it, and if you buy with cash, you can gift it, just the same as the other pledges. So if you have different accounts or you want to send an upgrade to someone, you can only do so if you've paid cash.
Mm-hmm.
And the current highest value ship that you can upgrade to is $750, which is actually the A2, maybe not the Polaris, which is $725, I think.
Yeah, we had the Polaris on here now, but just recently, as in a day or two ago, or whatever, the A2 went up in price a little bit, right?
Yeah. Exactly. The A2 went up in price. And if you had A2 CCUs in your hangar, the price upgrade wouldn't matter at all. It's irrelevant because it's simply a from and to ship. It doesn't have any concept of ship value or price associated with applying that upgrade to a ship.
Do you think the A2 going up in price $50 is related to something with the A2 or possibly another ship we don't know about yet that they want to prevent you from getting to using the A2? Do we know?
No, I think they're just pushing prices up.
They're pushing prices up in general.
The Polaris is $750, not $725.
Yeah.
$750.
Oh, is it?
Yep, and the A2 Hercules is listed as $700 on the wiki, but I'm pretty sure
Changed
that it
to
did go up by
$750, yeah.
$50. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
over
was
time, these ship values
checking.
increase, and you can find yourself in a position where you have a CCU in your hangar that you paid money for in the past. It's now worth a lot more in terms of the ship value it upgrades. So, for instance, actually, we'll go through some examples in a second.
Yeah.
Often, Warbond upgrades have a discount associated with them. So for instance, you might get a Carrack to an A2, which is there's a Warbond upgrade on the store right now for that, and I think that gives you $75 of free hull value difference or ship value difference, essentially. So you're paying a little bit less to move your ship up to an A2. The fact that they just increased the price of the A2 kind of offsets that a bit for anyone who's been around for a while. Next.
Okay.
So here's an example of just simply upgrading a ship. You just choose the source ship, you choose the destination ship, and you buy it. This is a standard edition upgrade. You can buy it with credit. Once that's in your hangar, it will look like this. And so there's an apply upgrade button. And when you click that, it'll list all of the merchantmans you have in your hangar and ask you which one do you want to apply this upgrade to.
Right. And before you hit apply, that upgrade is actually just another thing in your hangar along with whatever the original ship is, because the original ship has not been changed yet, or CCU'd.
Yes. So this is a pledge in your list of pledges in your hangar. Once you click apply, this pledge will disappear, but the ship that you applied it to will now be upgraded and will reflect that.
Yep.
Buybacks. So when you melt a pledge, when you turn it into store credit, the pledge itself gets recorded in your what's called the buyback list, and it's almost like you can. It's almost like they're allowing you to buy back things that you purchased in the past, and sometimes for the same price that you purchased in the past, not the current price. If you can purchase from the buybacks list at any time if you're using real money, and you can purchase from the buybacks list with credit if you have a token to buy back with credit. And they give out, I think it's one every quarter to everybody, so that you get one chance every few months to buy something from your buybacks list.
That's correct. It's once a quarter, almost every 3 months.
I think most pledges can be bought back. There are some which contain physical items, maybe some that are time limited, maybe some that are bugged that you can't buy back. But most of the time, you can buy back stuff pretty easily.
And that may be changing a little bit for concierge soon, right? Aren't they adding an extra token or something?
Yeah, they talked about giving us some extra free buyback tokens so we can do more with our credit, because we're the kind of players who tend to have more credit on their account or tend to want to make more adjustments to their fleet. So I think it's quite good of them to do that. Once upon a time, you could buy back anything you wanted with credit. So we're saying thank you for something that was taken away from us. But sure.
That's it.
So when you buy a standalone ship back from Buybacks List, it'll be at the same price that you originally paid for that ship. So if that ship has gone up in ship value, you pay you don't pay the current ship value. If you bought a BMM, a merchantman, 3 years ago or 4 years ago for $350, it'll still be in your buybacks list as a standalone ship for $350. But the price for the BMM today is $500.
Gotcha.
The bit that everyone misses currently is that CCU upgrades that are in your buybacks list, because if you haven't applied them and you've melted them, they're now in your buybacks list. They do get repriced at the time of buyback by the latest ship values,
Mm-hmm.
but that only occurs for the source ship, not the destination ship, which is madness, right? So,
Right.
if for instance, if I have an upgrade from an Andromeda to a BMM, and I bought that say 3 years ago, so the BMM was at 350. You can buy that upgrade back from your buybacks today, and that price would consider the current Andromeda price, but the price for the BMM that was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually use the buybacks list to store handy upgrades that you might want in the future. So IE is coming up. You go in there, you buy a bunch of upgrades, you melt them the next day, 24 hours later, because there's a 24-hour delay before you can melt a pledge. 24 hours later, you can buy a bunch of upgrades, put them in your buybacks. 24 hours later, you do the same thing. So you can cycle credit around and get upgrades in the buybacks. And in 2 or 3 years' time, you might decide, oh, I want this ship, and hey, I can get it really cheap because I've got this upgrade in my buyback at the old price, which is quite neat.
What you've described there, Starlet, is literally what grey market sellers do.
Right.
And when you come to them to their store and say, I would like to buy this, they literally just go in and for cash buy that back and then sell it to you at a profit.
Right.
So here's what your buybacks list looks like. I've got one opportunity to buy back with store credit, which I'll keep for something capital class, probably. I don't like to waste them. But yeah, you can have, there's no limit to how many things you can have in your buyback. So if you have some spare credit on your account, just keep rolling it through over IE and keep stuffing things in your buyback if you think you might like to try that ship one day, or you might like to have a discount on that ship one day and you're not quite sure about getting it now.
That's a really common thing too. Someone might take a big ship like that, melt it, use the credit to buy a bunch of CCUs over a sale, and then melt the CCUs, and then use the buyback token to get the ship back afterwards. And that way they can cycle through all this credit.
Yeah. So this is what it looks like when you buy back something. It looks very much like the pledge store does. Just click add to cart, and if you use credit, that token will be used. If you use Warbond, that token won't be used. Here's an upgrade in my buybacks for a Mercury Starrunner to a Caterpillar. So upgrades go through a slightly different process in the store. You click upgrade, and it takes you to the upgrade page preloaded with that particular buyback pledge. We all know the Caterpillar is going up soon.
With the difference,
I've got an upgrade there. Yeah, I've got an upgrade there with the current source value of the Starrunner is 260. The current target value of the Caterpillar is 295. The difference is $35. After IAE, we expect the Caterpillar will go up. They've said it will go up in price, maybe even as high as 350 or more. We don't know.
Do you know what? Sorry, I got to say this. Someone told me yesterday it's only going up $5, and I had to laugh. But anyway.
No, going up a lot. So that's in my buybacks. If I want a Caterpillar one day, I've locked the price in to today's price.
Tanya, with modularity, it's going to become the most popular ship.
Maybe.
Yep. We've said as much on the Infrunner several times, and a lot of people laugh at me. But yeah, it is a little slower than things like the MSR, but the versatility is what's going to win out. I think a lot of those versatile ships are going to be what people go into first to find out what they want to go into.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So now that's all the basics. I think that's all the basics. Let's skip forward here. Almost. No, it's not. Okay, so we're getting there.
We're doing good though. We're about halfway.
God.
Yeah, we're about halfway through, which gives us plenty of time to discuss afterwards. So we're doing good.
I feel like that
if you're feeling tired, now's a good time to restart the stream, and it'll put you to sleep. Yeah.
I feel like Ferris Bueller's Day Off with Bueller.
We're educating. We're educating. We're educators right now.
Okay, CCU chains. Okay, so now we're starting to get into how the game works a little bit deeper. So you can upgrade a ship from one to another, right? And if you, it's pretty common for all of us to do that over time. So we've got a Starrunner, we want a Caterpillar, we get a Caterpillar. Oh, next year there's another ship I don't know, a Raylan. I don't know if that is even compatible. So we want the Raylan, we don't want the Caterpillar, so we buy a Caterpillar to Raylan if it's even possible, upgrade, and we apply it. So now we've got one ship in our one pledge in our hangar that has a ship, and that has had 2 upgrades applied to it to get it to a new ship. And that's all a CCU chain is, just chaining these upgrades together to get from one ship to another with multiple upgrades along the way.
So just swap those around because the Raelian's actually cheaper than the Caterpillar.
Okay.
So other than that, that was correct.
Great. So the reason why we chain CCUs, it gives you a couple of advantages. Each upgrade might have some additional things that come with it. One might have lifetime assurance, maybe, or one might have some hangar flare. One might have a skin. One just happens to be in your hangar. One happens to be in your buybacks list. One happens to give you a discount, and you want 2 of these things to go together to give additional discount. So it can be super useful, and it's kind of the basis of the CCU game that we're going to run you through shortly.
I know I joke about this being a little boring, but this is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't tackle this subject, because it's just very long-winded, and there's just so
it's super complicated.
10 years of stuff being built on top of itself,
Yeah.
and they've made it needlessly complicated.
Yeah, it's kind of horrible, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, even with all the people I know have given me advice on buying and purchasing and melting and credits and this and that, I've already made my share of mistakes. There's been a ship or two that I've kind of got trapped in, and I've eventually found my way out of it. But it is like a maze. It's like a game, that you're playing, that you can hit roadblocks with, and 1 or 2 of those instances, I was fortunate to have concierge help me out of it, because I put myself in a weird place. So
yeah.
Okay, so next slide. I've covered those already.
No worries.
On to the next one.
OBS is being a little slow tonight. Sorry.
Here's an example of a quick CCU chain.
Mm-hmm.
We buy an Aurora to start with, $20. Ship value $20, cost $20. Next, we buy an upgrade.
So they've slipped in those upsales there now on the sales page. Just ignore those.
Yeah. We've bought an upgrade from the Aurora to the Prospector, $135. It's just a ship value difference.
Mm-hmm.
Next slide. We've bought a Prospector to 400i, but this one's a little bit different in that we've chosen the Warbond edition. So for this one, we have to pay real cash, $65 of real cash. You can't use store credit. And because of that, we do get a small discount on this step.
Yeah. And those are sometimes you'll see those listed as Warbond CCUs. They'll actually, list those and call them that. So
yeah, Warbond edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a CCU chain. We've just saved some money from the 400i concept release.
All right.
Where's the next upgrade? Because you wouldn't stop on that ship. Come on, where's the next one?
Yeah. I like the 400i.
Let's not start that. We'll be here all day.
Okay, so
oh, you know what? Real quick, Starlet. Before you
Yep.
continue, we did get a question. I missed it earlier, and posted to me. It's from SoRec Gaming. They ask, and this is from a previous chapter we were on. They said, when creating an alt account, do I have to buy a package or just spend above a certain amount to get the referral bonus?
$40.
$40 of real cash. It doesn't matter what you buy. Could be skins, could be armor, it could be anything. You spend real cash, $40, and that referral thing will kick in.
Okay. All right.
So so you can buy. So each pledge contains 1 or more ships. There are a bunch of pledges in the shop that you can buy that contain multiple ships. We'll call these multi-ship packs because the word packs is already used for something else entirely differently, which we covered before. So some of these packs do have good discounts. I think the company pack offers the best discount based on the differences and based on the combined ship values within that pack and the amount that they charge you. However, if you use packs and you start to apply upgrades, it can be really problematic because you can only upgrade up. You cannot upgrade down. You cannot upgrade to the side, only up. So if you make a mistake and you apply upgrades to your pack, you can get yourself into a bit of trouble because if you want to change the direction you're going in, you have to then mount the entire pack, and you don't get access to those upgrades that were applied at the prices you bought them for. You have to buy all those upgrades fresh from the store at the current market prices.
This is an eternal debate that Alga and I always have. I am not a fan of packs because they lock you in and they end up hurting you in the long run. And the savings now, there used to be really good savings back in the day where you could save thousands. Now, at best, they're like 10 to 20%. And generally with the Warbond CCUs, you can get better savings from that. So I don't recommend packs anymore. I don't have a single pack. Algrid has lots of packs, and yes, it is another way to save.
It's actually it's a way to save easily because actually you can get much better discounts using CCU chains than you could using the packs with the current things that have been sold recently.
Yeah. So just make sure you really want those ships, or you've got it really planned out. Excel sheet would be your friend there, and always ask some people for advice because basically packs can be problematic, as you've both just said. But yeah, I'm not a big fan. They're not as good as they used to be.
Sometimes packs can get you access, I guess, to time-limited ships that would be difficult to get otherwise. I think, isn't the Aegis pack you get like the Javelin and the Idris and stuff?
But then you're spending thousands, right?
Yeah.
So that is the part of the FOMO. It's like, oh, you want a Kraken? Just buy the Drake complete pad. It's just a mere like what is it, $4,500 or something?
Right.
So yeah, you can do that to get to ships, but also you can just wait for a sale. Let's be honest.
It's not the right reason to get to a ship, that's for sure.
Yeah. So packs for me are very problematic, and I think they earlier, yes. Now I'm more hesitant to recommend them to people unless you've got lots of money. And then again, I also don't encourage big spending anymore because all honestly, there's enough ships out there. I can think of several people that have 10 times as many ships than they do friends. Let's just put it that way.
You look at me.
No. Well, okay. I wasn't saying you. You just chucked yourself in that pot. Good job for diving yourself in. There's the Javelin holds like 83 people, and I know one particular gentleman that we both know. He has 3 of them, and I don't think he's got 83 friends. Put it that way. So how can he fill one Javelin, let alone 3? So
I know.
That's my point.
I'm finding friends. Does anyone want to be my friend? Come and fly in the Javelins with me.
I don't think you'll have a problem, to be honest with you, when you have a Javelin. I think people are going to turn up just for the experience.
Yeah.
It should be fun. So in our next slide, here's a multi-ship pack. You can see in the contains there, it's got all those ships listed. With all those ships combined with one insurance entry there that applies to all of them. So again, insurance is per pledge.
Right.
Not per ship.
That's a good example of why a pack's bad too, because a lot of them contain fighters.
Yeah,
and because they kind of want you to upgrade, and it's just
If you want to know what Execute's referring to there, have a look at InfoRunner's YouTube. There's a Sell Your Fighters episode, or 3 or 4 of them along the way somewhere. Okay, next LTI tokens. So this is a name that the community community's given. So one of the properties that we talked about before, insurance, when you upgrade a ship, the insurance does not get removed ever. It only gets added. If your ship starts with LTI, it always has LTI, no matter what you upgrade it to. Therefore, if you have a ship in your hangar that you purchase simply for upgrading, so that your final ship will have LTI, because you can't buy LTI on ships that are post-concept sale. So, for instance, I can't buy today a mole that has LTI from the store unless it's in a pack over $1,000, and I don't want to do that. So instead of buying the standalone mole from the store, I will have an LTI token, which this month let's choose the referral one maybe, or maybe I've purchased a concept sale ship in the past that's very cheap and just left it there for the future. I've got the LTI token in my hangar. I want the mole today. I can just upgrade that from let's say it's the Argo cargo to the mole. I buy the upgrade, I apply it. That mole now has lifetime assurance. That mole now is giftable too, because actually that's a bad example. So if I use the Argo cargo from the referral program, it's not giftable because that was through referrals. If I had purchased an Argo cargo at concept sale for Argo cargoes, and I purchased it with cash, then that will be giftable. And after I apply the upgrade, it'll still be giftable. So you can end up with.
I was going to say, coming up at the next sale, you probably should use the ship from there. So that would be a really good example. So chances are it's going to be the Spartan.
I agree.
So that might be a good example to go with, just so people understand with the next sale. Sorry.
Yep. So I mean, we expect that it'll probably be around $50 or something like that, maybe more.
Well, the Ballista's 110, so I'm expecting the Spartan to probably be the same. But who knows?
I mean, every now and then.
Last year was the Nomad.
Yeah. So I mean, last year or the year before, we had the P72 Emerald that came out. That was a $35 LTI token. They come out all the time. It's part of their marketing scheme. If everybody knows, there's a nice LTI token, I'll put some of those away and spend my money now. And in 3 years, I know that I've got some ways to get ships at LTI anytime I want.
The best ones are the ones too that come with game packages. So like last year they surprised everyone because the Nomad was such a, and we can argue about this, but the Nomad, it was very bad for where it was in its price ratio. And the thing that proves that to a lot of us is that it came with a Squadron 42 and Star Citizen combo pack with LTI. And that's the first time they'd done that in several years. And that was a great pack to buy because it came with both games and then you could upgrade it into any ship you wanted. So the Nomad's a really good example of an LTI token in my book. Previous years, they had the Pisces, which was another one. So that was a starter ship that was, I think, $65. I think it was 60 off the top of my head. And again, that's another good example. So you're looking at a cheaper ship because as Starlet explained, you can only go up with upgrades. So if you start with a cheaper ship, it's a lot easier to upgrade up to the one that you want.
Exactly.
Hey, Arc VR is raiding with a party of 9. Thank you so much, Arc. Appreciate the raid.
Thanks,
Hope you're doing well and had a great stream tonight. Everyone, we are talking the CCU metagame. Starlet is walking us through.
We're almost through the boring stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost through this boring chapter, and then we've got another boring chapter to go, and then we can have some laughs.
Yeah, we're kind of starting from CCUing 101 here for new time players to Star Citizen that don't know how this whole game works, trying to prevent people from falling into traps and ending up on the good side of it, especially with IAE coming out or coming up very soon next week on Friday. So there's going to be new ships, new opportunities. So it's good to kind of know how this whole system works. So yeah,
and I really appreciate chat hanging in there with us. The idea is this will be up on YouTube, so someone can go and fast forward and rewind and find out the information they need to get.
So I was just going to say that the LTI token, you'll hear us say next week when it comes out, this is the LTI token for this sale.
Yeah, but this was an LTI token I bought during the Origin G12A concept release. I think they were $60, $50, $60.
Yeah, something about that.
I can't remember. There it is. Yeah, $60. So the point here is that it's a cheap ship that can be upgraded, and it includes lifetime insurance that you can see down there, and it also contains area. Hangars and stuff, that makes zero difference. Hangars for the hangar module, we don't even believe that'll be part of the end game at this point in time. So don't worry about the hangar stuff, but just lifetime insurance on any cheap ship. The lower ship value, the better LTI token, because it gives you more options.
Griffin gifting 3 tier 1 subs. Appreciate it, Griffin. Thank you so much. Always a great supporter. Really looking forward to Soul Citizen's Endeavor episode that they're going to do. Should be really informative. All right, moving on.
Tools. So there's there's a couple of tools that that I know of that we can use to help us figure out our hanger and our upgrades and our buybacks, and even organize chains of CCUs. The first one is one that we make here at Starjump called hanger.link. And you can use it to get some ideas about how you might join multiple chains, multiple upgrades together to form a chain, and what kind of savings might result in doing so. So this considers your upgrades that you've got in your hanger, upgrades you've got in your buybacks, and gives you some options or a visual presentation of how they might all link together to result in the best savings.
Would you be offended if I said that this kind of helps you build your own Excel sheets?
I guess it does, but it doesn't output this in Excel, right? So
Yeah,
it's the same kind of activity, but yeah. So go and have a look. It's on HTTPS hanger.link. You can get your pledge data in there, and it's like a one-stop shop for just sorting and filtering and viewing all of your pledge data and sussing out what you've got. Because anyone who's got more than a couple of pages of pledge data knows that the RSA website is simply not built for anyone with more than an Aurora, almost.
Yeah.
So I've personally got like 15 pages, but I've seen accounts that have over 150.
Mm-hmm. And the second tool is it's not by Starjump, it's by another person. It's called CCU Game, and this one is similar in that you can get access to your pledge data, your buybacks. This one has much more integration with the shop, so it'll show you what products are currently in the shop, and it'll help you get them into your cart, perhaps with a slightly more easy way than the RSI site does. And it also has a way to figure out how to chain your upgrades into a nice set of savings. So it's a second tool you can use.
Yeah. It's really cool. You should definitely check it out if you haven't checked it out. And on hanger.link, obviously, that is a tool I personally think you should bookmark it. It's also, if you've seen us showing previews of our Fleet Viewer project, that is where it will live. Eventually, we're going to get some preview stuff up there soon. And just as a little bit of an update for that, we are pushing through ships. We're probably about, I would say, 85-90% through all the ships at this stage. So I'm really focused on dealing with just the hardest ships that are left to put together, ships like the Holy and stuff. But our plan, me and Starlet have been talking quite a bit about it. Our goal is to try to get the Fleet Viewer project launched by January. So stay tuned. All right.
They both look like game changers as far as I'm concerned, both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Appreciate
they're
it.
cool.
Before we get into the full on the game here, the actual game we all play here during this time, is there any questions from chat about just everything we've gone over so far, the basics of CCUing and how that all works, and some of the tools that we've shown, both Hanger Link and the CCU game? Any questions from chat? Throw them up there now. We'll try to get to them. Execute, anything you wanted to add before we moved into the game phase of this?
No, I think Starlot's covered it fairly well. It is a very long-winded subject, and I've struggled over the years to simplify it. But you just can't simplify it, and I think Starlot kind of started out with that. You can't. They've made it needlessly complicated, and I know Starlot and I've talked many times about how they could simplify it, and I wish they would in a way, but they can't because of monetary and legal reasons.
I think I've always thought it's funny whenever a new sale comes up, whether it's Invictus or IAE, whenever there's, or I guess maybe Citizen Content, whenever there's a sale where they'll like a couple ships go on sale, like new ships, it's always whatever the cheapest ship is that gets inadvertently called the LTI token, which kind of, in a funny way, diminishes that ship a little bit, and that is just the LTI token when there's also the ship may be a perfectly fine ship to pledge for or whatever, but it's just kind of funny how it's always going to be, of course, the cheapest ship is the LTI token. So
Well,
I think
CGI know that they're doing this. They know that we're doing this, and they actually put an LTI token up for these sales on purpose.
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
And I think, ironically, we say things like "sell your fighters," but I think a lot of people kind of are starting to learn that those cheaper ships are not worth buying, so to speak, because they're just going to be so easily attainable in game.
Is it, speaking
Go
of
ahead.
this though, this idea of the LTI token again before we move on, is it surprising to either of you that they've never just sold an LTI token that can be applied to any ship?
I
It's
did
marketing.
once.
It's FOMO. It's
Okay.
it's they don't want LTI to be available in the store all the time, so that when it does come along, people rush and grab it.
It feels special.
They did last year. They had a Warbond CCU for the Nomad that added LTI, and it was the first time they'd ever done that.
Oh,
The
interesting.
Mantis as well. But there was a
Yeah.
Mantis one in
There was
2019.
too. There
Oh,
was.
okay.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that one. But yeah, they
you're
have,
right.
they have attempted it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's
All right.
nothing in the store that just says like pay an extra $10 and get some LTI. Nothing
Right.
like
And
that.
that's what it should be. It should
Right.
be like $10 or $15, and you just buy it, and it's added to you. It just makes
Well,
whatever you have LTI. That would simplify everything.
That would simplify things, but we don't actually think that LTI is worth that much actual money.
Do you think
Hey,
with
do you imagine how much money they would raise though? They would raise shit tons.
Do you think
like
with
50, people would pay it? I reckon. But anyway, sorry.
Do you think with things like looting coming into game now and stuff like that, and we've seen insurance areas pop up in the game now as locations. Now they're currently dealing with like where you regenerate, but do you think we'll get a revisit from CIG on insurance in general and their plans for that going forward, or are we just starting to see some of this stuff now because?
No,
Yeah, with them.
I think they have some in-game mechanism to get stuff back you bought with cash somehow, and the details of that they don't even know right now. So, therefore, we don't know.
I think it will be the insurance system because it's really evident now. Like I hear so many people saying, "Oh, I'm only going to wear a noob suit because anytime I buy armor, because like at the moment, like just an undersuit's 1,000 credits. If as soon as you go out and die, that's lost.
Right.
Like so, if there's no way to insure it, and I can tell you now, in the PTU phase this time round, I brought 10 suits of armor, and I've got one left.
Well, stop dying.
Yeah.
It's
Didn't you hear?
Hey,
you gotta stop
I'm not dying. That's bugs. It's just bugs that kill me. Like so, yeah.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and get into the actual game phase of this. This episode is called the CCU metagame, and there's a metagame with it, but there's also sort of a game that Starla's going to walk us through here.
It's so tough. Like, I know it's a boring subject, but I'm sure that someone will get some goodness out of this for IE. I hope you do.
They will.
Okay. So, right. So, round one, the game. So, we've just, made this a game. This level is beginner level. It's easy to do. The goals are acquire a discount, use some store credit, and obtain a giftable ship. And we start off. We're going to CCU from an Aurora. We're going to go. We're going to upgrade that to a Prospector. That can be upgraded to a 400i. That gets upgraded to Constellation Aquila. And we want to use we use these upgrades so that we use as much credit as possible, and we still get the discount from the 400i Warbond that's in store today because we just pay for only that small section with new cash, and the rest of it is all credit. And because we bought the Aurora with new cash, which is only $20, it remains giftable. So we go to the store, we buy the Aurora, which only has, I think, which at IA will have 10 years insurance, but normally it only has 6, which that will end up being the insurance of our final ship in this round. It's only a beginner round. By the first upgrade, $135, we use store credit for this section of the chain. We buy the next section of the chain. We choose the Warbond 400. It has a discount, which gives us sort of more ship value for less real money, but we have to use real money here, so $65 in cash. And then we go from the 400 to the standard Constellation Aquila for $60 that you can use credit for. So instead of just buying an Aquila outright with cash, we can buy it with credit and get a discount using a little bit of cash just for that 400i section of that chain. So the final ship, its ship value is 310. We paid for the Aurora $20, the 400i upgrade $65. We paid credit for everything else. So we did get a small discount of $40 total on this ship. And the insurance is the same as the Aurora had at the start, and it's giftable. And the melt value is the credit plus cash that we paid to get the ship to this level. Pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
Round 2.
Cool. Round 2.
Again, beginner. So this time we're going to do the same thing. We're going to acquire a discount. We're going to use some store credit, but we're going to also end up with a ship that has lifetime insurance on top of that. So this time we're going to go from, instead of an Aurora ES, we'll go from an LTI token that we've previously put in our hangar. So I've chosen a G12 because I had one. We'll do exactly the same things past the G12. So we, first of all, we've purchased the G12 that has lifetime insurance. We've used cash, giftable. It's a Warbond anyway, so sorry, next slide. It's a Warbond anyway, so it has to be cash. Next slide. We buy store credit. We're using store credit only. We upgrade it to the Prospector for $90. Next slide. Now we want to get the discount section of the chain in. We buy the Warbond 400i upgrade using real cash for $65. And next slide, we then buy an upgrade from the 400i to the Aquila again using credit for $60. So we end up, next slide, with the same Aquila. This time, I don't know how you say that, but it doesn't matter. This time it has lifetime insurance, giftable. We got slightly more discount because the G12 actually had a $5 discount compared to its ship value. So that's cool. Round 3. So this is getting a little bit harder. This time we're going to use multiple saving steps along the way. So we're going to go from an Aurora to a 315, to a Nomad, to a Prospector, to a 400i, to a Constellation Aquila. Some of my chains get so crazy. Like some of them have 20 different upgrades. And actually, I'm not looking forward to the day I have to materialize all these ships because they're just sitting in my hangar as just a pile of mess of CCUs.
I've done it. It can be quite nightmarish. But essentially, almost what you're saying here is like the more steps you have, the more savings. And that is true, sadly.
Yeah. Again, the goal is use as much credit as possible if you've got it. Keep the ship giftable. This time we're getting lifetime insurance, but we're getting it from an upgrade, not from the base ship. So you don't need an LTI token in this case because we've got an upgrade in our hangar that gives lifetime insurance. We're going to acquire a discount with the 400i. We're going to acquire another discount with the Nomad Warbond upgrade. And now both of those discounts are going to add to the savings of this chain. So we buy the Aurora ES today. Doesn't matter what insurance it has, not important. But we buy it with cash anyway because it has to be giftable, right? That was the goal.
So not using any credits.
Not using credit for the Aurora. So next we buy an Aurora to 315 upgrade using credit of $45. Next, we apply our previously purchased 315 to Nomad CCU.
So that CCU there, that was the one that actually gave the lifetime insurance.
Correct.
I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah. And if you next slide, if you look at this, when you hit apply, it will say it replaces the 315 with the Nomad plus lifetime insurance. Right. Now we buy a Nomad to Prospector, credit only, easy. Now we buy a Prospector to 400i Warbond with cash. We know this one as well. Now we buy a 400i to a kilo with credit, and we end up with a ship after we apply it all with $50 in discount plus LTI plus it's giftable. That end. So round 4.
And you're starting to get to some pretty, when you're talking, the money saved here, it's starting to now be of some value. You know what I mean? Where it's you can, it becomes really worth it.
I mean, some of the chains I've got, many of us have in our hangars. We can have a Polaris for half the price, half its ship value. $750, you get that for half the price. It's quite a big discount.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've got the core of what chains are and why we would do them. These last few rounds of the game are to highlight some potential roadblocks, potential danger areas that you have to master unless you're going to apply your chains immediately at the time you buy them nearly.
Actually, you know what? Real quick, we had another question. I just want to make sure we get to the questions. Ender had sent it to me, and he had sent it about 5 minutes ago, so sorry. So before we move on to round 4 here, this one's from Fastcar, our good friend Fastcar. Asks, do you believe that 120-month insurance is effectively LTI? Which, that's 10-year insurance. Is that essentially LTI at that point?
I think 10 years insurance is fine. The insurance doesn't start from when the game goes live. The game's not going live for 4 years. It's 14 years. And if you can't afford in 14 years' time some in-game insurance with UEC, something's very, very wrong.
Yeah.
The only time that lifetime insurance matters is if you're trading or selling a ship in-game to another person, and lifetime insurance matters to the other person because we believe that the insurance will go with the ship.
Yeah, I tend to look at 120-month insurance as essentially LTI.
Yeah. I think after 10 years, if you haven't figured out what you're doing with the insurance, you're going to be in a bit of trouble anyway.
Yeah.
So
you don't need LTI. I don't pay for LTI. If it comes for free, great. Grab it, but don't pay for it.
I'm not saying Star System won't last 10 years, but a lot of games don't even last 10 years. So yeah.
Okay, so round 4. So this time we're going to plan for future CCU chains. So ship values can increase in price over time. And we've got an example coming up. Concept ships increase when they become flyable. When older concepts increase in size, then they'll increase in ship value in the store. Price increases might be expected when functionality comes online for a ship. For instance, the Gemini is coming up. Will that go up in price this IE? We don't know. Maybe next IE or maybe before. I could imagine they could justify putting the Gemini up when they bring in the refueling mechanism, for instance, or the reclaimer when they bring in salvaging for the reclaimer. And sometimes they just increase the price out of the blue.
And that's one thing I personally hope they don't get in the habit of doing, is adding a price increase just because the functionality now becomes available. Personally, that's one sticking point for me on that.
That's going to happen, sadly. That just is a nature of the fact. I think the Banner Merchantman, can we talk about that here for a second? Or is that
hold 1 second, because we've got that coming up next.
Right.
It's the very next slide. Go to the next slide, actually. So you can plan. So with these bits of information, you can plan ahead at IE and go, well, the Crucible, that's an old concept ship. It's definitely going up in size. It definitely will go up in value when before or when it gets into game. That's just one example. The BMM, which you mentioned, that's already gone up a huge amount, and will continue to go up towards. I think it's going to go up past $900 personally.
I do too.
That's just me.
So what I want. Oh, go on, sorry.
This round is about using this knowledge that certain times the timings and the amounts that we think prices will increase, you can actually pre-plan your CCU chains with gaps in them for allowing those CCUs that come in the future to fill gaps in the chain with extra savings.
So what I wanted to say is there are several factors here that have kind of affected things like the Banner Merchant Man. So the Banner Merchant Man has essentially changed its role from its original conception. It was actually a blockade runner. And you can actually look at the Raelian, and the Raelian now fills the old role of the Banner Merchant Man, where the Banner Merchant Man itself has become more of a massive cargo
It's our new
capital ship.
capital. Yeah, it's our new capital.
Yeah, so its roles changed, and a lot of those really big savings that Starlet's been talking about are actually a lot of those older ships have changed and developed. So you will see it with the older ships, but you're not going to see it with the new ones. The new ones are a lot more refined and stuff like that. So most of those big savings you're going to get from things like the Crucible, the Endeavour, and the Banner Merchant. They're probably the last three. And I don't now we've seen what the kind of final Banner Merchant Man's going to be. Unfortunately, it's too late. Unless you got it back like when we did way back in the beginning for the, I think I got on. I'm one of the first.
Sure,
I mean,
but carry on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was just going to say I brought it way back in the day on the very first day. It was only available for one day, and this ship actually breaks a few of the rules. So I brought it original concept. It was only available for original concept for one day, but because it's so old, they actually sold the original concept for several years. For I think 3 or 4 years, it was available to 2014 at that original concept price. But now original concept's a completely different thing. So
there's a reason to own a BMM in your hangar, whether that's an upgrade form or applied to a ship or the standalone ship, doesn't matter. There's a reason to own it for the purposes of CCU chain. There's a reason to own it for the purposes of having the ship in game. And just because the price has gone up so much doesn't mean to say you can't get it cheaply. You can CCU chain your way up to a full price BMM through other CCUs or other ships that are still going to go up, the Endeavour, the Crucible, all these, the Corsair, all of these ships that are still unreleased will go up in price, and you can get to the final ship of a BMM to discounted. But also the BMM is a great example of a ship that has gone up in price that's really useful for CCU chains to get to higher value ships.
Fastcart says seeing this graphic makes him feel good about the BMM. That's exactly what I thought when Starlet sent me this information. I put this graphic together.
You mentioned that it'll probably go up to $900. I actually suspect that it'll probably might even jump past the 890 jump. And what I mean by that is what is higher, the luxury tax or the alien tax? But this, to me, is more functional than an 890 jump, and it does have multiple layers and more rooms and stuff like that. I would almost be surprised if it doesn't surpass the 890 jump personally in price.
I think it will.
We'll wait and see.
And who's to say that the soft level of $1,000 for LTI insurance doesn't move? There's nothing to say that they can't just change it to and not immediately give LTI at $1,000 anymore.
They've already broken that rule with the Pioneer. The Pioneer is under $1,000. You should be able to get LTI on it. You should be able to CC to it. You can't. So they pick and choose what they want. Starlet 100%.
The master set has LTI. It's exactly $1,000. What's the Pioneer's $850?
Oh, $850. The Pioneer's only $850. I thought it was $1,000.
Now, the master set is $1,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So it should theoretically you should be able to CCU to Pioneer, but they don't let you. They've classed it as limited, and so because it's limited, you can't CC to it. They pick and choose what they want.
We're almost there. We're almost through. So round 5. Next slide.
Round 5.
So you've got your CCU chains. Maybe you've got some CCUs in buyback, or maybe you've got some CCUs in your hangar, and they each have a source and a target. So what happens when your upgrades from a ship are in your hangar and that ship changes its price? So that to get to that ship now, it's going to cost you more. So round 5, which is about is about figuring out how to protect the gaps in your chains from prices in the future. So here's a Warbond CCU. Has a $5 discount. It's from a 315 to a Nomad. It also happens to have LTI, but don't worry about that. It's not important. So in this case, if the 315p goes up in price, you can still apply this. If it's in your hangar, you can still apply this to a 315. However, the 315 has just gone up in price, so you've lost some ship value there. So that discount, might go into the negatives in terms of ship value, depending on how much the 315 costs you. So the solution to this is just to hold a credit-only CCU from something to 315, so that even if the 315 price goes up, you're protected. And if you don't end up using that CCU, you just melt it into credit and use that credit for something else. So, for instance, an Avenger Stalker to 315p will achieve that for you for a price of $5. So they put the 315p up in price, but they didn't do that for the Stalker. You've got the Stalker to 315p locked in at your previous price. You're safe.
Mm-hmm.
If that upgrade was in your buybacks, keep in mind that you cannot, because the source price changes, you cannot buy back anything whether that has a zero or negative value in the different ship values, and the difference between the ship values. So
Right.
If the Nomad CCU 315 to Nomad was in your buybacks, not in your hangar, and the 315 went up, you might not be able to buy that 315 to Nomad CCU out of your buybacks. So that's another thing to consider. Two rounds left, round 6. So there's lots of complexity around having CCUs in your hangar. So this round is about planning your fleet without applying your CCUs so that you can get additional discounts and that are coming in the future, and add those to your total savings.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually quite hard to do, really hard to do. And there's people out there who are
very patient.
Yeah, who are all spreadsheeted up with everything that's in their hangar. And it's tough. So by leaving your CCUs unapplied, though, you can get more savings, potentially with more CCUs and things that become available, and also more ships that become available that we don't even know of yet, perhaps.
Right.
So we don't know. We don't want to lock in our fleet just yet. We want to leave those unapplied so that we can chop and change as new things become available.
There's an episode there trying to figure out what the last 50 ships are, I reckon.
Is there?
I mean, interesting. I should just get a whole bunch of content creators and we just speculate in the live stream. I reckon that'd be great.
The Super Liberator could come any day now, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Paul Jones from CIG did reply to the Super Liberator post of mine and said it's a beast, so you never know. There's still hope.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God! I
Final round.
Almost made it. One more round. This is the last one. Oh Jesus! So round 7. So protecting your discounts with off ramps. So you can CCU up in value. That round number's wrong, Grim, but that's okay. You can CCU up in value. The B&M, for instance, has gone from 350 to 500. It's going to go up more. And as soon as it goes past your destination ship, you can't use it anymore. So you can't get access to those discounts that CCU and your hangar might have provided. So the only way to protect yourself from continually increasing prices is to keep a CCU in your hangar. For instance, if I put the Merchantman to Liberator in my hangar now, then even if the Merchantman goes up $600, $700, $800, I can still apply that Merchantman to Liberator that's in my hangar.
Mm-hmm.
I can even buy it back if it was melted, but if it's in my hangar, I can still use it, and I can use that to get to a Liberator or anything that's closer in value to the $500. Anything that's lower than what the Merchantman ends up being. If the Merchantman ends up being $900, you can't CCU to anything.
Yeah, some people say that as lost value, but you got to remember it's not all. It's your end game. It's your personal taste and stuff like that. You do have to take that into account.
100%. So that's it.
I think you need a round of applause, and I think Grim needs a round of applause because I watched it, but no one else could see it. He just went through 100 frames almost of, and that is way more work than I would ever do.
I'm actually really, I'll say, I'm really happy the last frame I had the round number wrong, so that at least one frame out of those 100 frames was wrong, and there was an error. So my user error quota stays up. So I'm proud of that. But yeah, I mean, it's a complicated subject for sure, and something we definitely wanted to cover leading into IE or leading into some, sale. It's easy, for example, when we do, an episode like the Endeavor episode we did, where I've had a ton of messages from people, a lot of DMs and stuff, where they say, "Oh, I watched that episode. I'm pledging for an Endeavor at IAE." You know what I mean? And it's easy to produce content that can excite people to buy stuff and spend money. But equally, I think it's important to do episodes like this where we highlight ways to save money, what some of those pitfalls all are, where you need to be careful, where maybe you need to not spend money, et cetera, et cetera. So.
So that might be a good way to do it simplified in the future. You've just kind of jogged my memory there. So is actually pick a ship. So an Endeavor is a good one because it's one we recommend because we know it's going to go up in value, right? So use that as your example for at the end of the sale, though. These are the CCUs need to buy to get the best value Endeavor today.
The problem with that is that they only sell Warbond CCUs at IE for 1 day, for 24 hours, and then they're gone. So
that's not true.
The Warbond CCUs are there for. It is true.
No, the final day of the sale, they're all available.
All the Warbond ones? Not just the credit ones?
Not just the credit ones.
Huh. Okay, I stand corrected.
And that was for the last 2 years that they've done it.
I specifically remember that.
You are right, though. They could change that. So,
I wouldn't rely on that. But
I think that's
the best in show Carrick, for instance, last year was definitely only available for 1 24-hour period.
That's a bit different, but I'm specifically mentioning the actual Warbond CCUs. Best in show skins, that's a little bit different. That was only available for 1 day. Yes.
Okay.
But the actual
just in case, I believe you, and I'm happy with that. But just in case, if there's something you're going to buy, don't wait till the last day.
I would still buy them if you. But that's the tricky part of it, you see. Like, if you don't know what ones are coming, how do you chain them together? And I really wish they would tell us the ones that are coming so you could plan. That just makes it worse, personally.
Well, what they seem to be doing now, and this could be different at the sale, but at Invictus, was that they were running 2 chains of sales, 2 incompatible chains. So they'd sell 2 Warbond ships of a similar value that weren't compatible. And then they'd sell, and then that would go up the value chain. So they'd have essentially 2 CCU chains you could build through one sale. Just be careful to stick with one or the other.
They had a lot of overlap, didn't they? I remember when we were doing the CCU guide last year, and we actually had to say, but this one doesn't work, and it's the worst one to get, so don't get this one. And it just become very convoluted. Again, they seem to like that it's convoluted because they don't want you doing it. Essentially, I think that's kind of what it all comes down to.
I don't know. I
don't want you saving money.
I think that they know very well that they're getting so much extra revenue from people who are buying discounts.
Well,
it doesn't cost them a single dollar to give someone an extra bit of ship value.
Well, I think, Starlet, that circles all the way back to almost your very first slide in that whole presentation, which is you're never technically not saving. It's all money going toward it's casino rules here for sure. So it's really just to get from point A to point B with slightly less painfully. I think is another way to look at it. So. I mean, another thing.
I'm not going to play the game for much longer. I don't think. I've got too many CCUs. They're a mess. It's just too much for my brain to handle. And at some point, but it's quite enjoyable at the start when you feel like, I can move that to there, and I can get something out of that.
I will say, I've only been kind of doing this whole pledging and dealing with CCUs for about a year, and I've learned a lot. One thing I can say, if I can give any new Star Citizen player advice, especially if you're new to Star Citizen, you're following the progress tracker and the release view and all that, be very, very careful. I would say completely avoid purchasing ships purely because you see them pop up on the progress tracker thinking they're coming out soon. I made this mistake with the Polaris last year when it popped up on the roadmap, and I was like, you know what? Now's the time. I've got to get it. You know what I mean? And I did a lot of shenanigans in order to get it, dealt with concierge, was able to get it, and literally the moment I get it, it's taken off the roadmap and is yet to return. So, be careful with that. Everything's in flux. So
you're getting into that whole area about loaners and all that as well, and that's another convoluted subject as well, because you buy a ship now and it's not available, but they give you a substitute while they wait, and then we get into things like gameplay substitutes and all that stuff as well. So it's
real quick.
I do not envy a new person coming into this game.
Oh yeah, you've got 10 years or whatever of backlog to deal with, and real quick, I had a question from Dario earlier. When do you guys think the Corsair will be flight ready? It's on the progress tracker right now, being worked on. They've actually started production on it, not concept work, but actual production work on the Corsair. I think it's been in production now for about 3 weeks or so. I think they're working on it all the way through June of next year. I can tell you from someone who's tore the ship apart and metriced it in every way possible, it definitely had to go through some changes. I imagine it's grown quite a bit in order to fit the proper metrics. If I had to guess, if they follow the same kind of path they did with the Drake Vulture, we'll probably before too long get some sneak peeks and some Inside Star Citizen episodes of it going through the pipeline. But flight ready, the soonest I think would be Q3, but do not quote me on that. That's just the soonest it would be, Q3 of next year, because it's still got to go through downstream teams.
So essentially this time next year.
Yeah. Cool. What else? Anything else? Anything we're forgetting? Any execute? Do you have anything in particular you're looking forward towards IAE? Any I know that we sleep. Are info runners planning the usual amount, the usual content, the kind of the daily manufacturer content?
Yes, so we'll have we'll do a manufacturer video every day. I've got the schedule for the guys there, so that's the hardest part, getting the other guys to turn up, because we always like the opinions and stuff. So I don't like doing shows solo, and traditionally they're the only episodes I've ever had to do solo because the others can't make it. So it's a hard thing to recommend financial advice to people, and it's something I struggled with over the years to do. But if it helps people like that's most of the messages I get. I know you guys probably get messages as content creators as well, but most of the messages I've got are people thanking me for helping them save money. And that's why I do what I do.
Starlet, what about you? Any IAE plans? Any big moves you're going to make, or you said you were going to start slowing down on the CCU metagame?
Yeah, I don't have anything I need to add to my hangout at this point. There's just too much there, and I need to start figuring out what I'm going to turn it into. And we don't know what's coming down the track. There's 50 ships.
Where's the line with javelins? Is it like 46 is not enough, 47's enough? Like, where's the line?
I measure my fleet in kilometers now.
Yeah. Okay.
Fastcart says, does this episode come with a legal disclaimer? No, but I will say this, that like all content creators say, you do not have to buy any of these ships beyond the starter package. You can obviously just get the starter package and be totally good. But at the same time, I can't walk into a toy store with my daughter without spending some money. So, money's spent easily sometimes in life, and you just have to choose what you want to spend that money on. I plan on IAE this year. I do want to see what is announced. I'm always pretty excited about that, particularly in the realm of not necessarily new ships, but I am curious to see where like things like the cat move to in price. I know we got a little bit of warning. I'm kind of curious to like pay attention to that and see what things shift around a bit. I'm curious to see if the BMM goes up in price again as well, because that will give us some good indications on what we'll be looking at next year with the BMM. Because if you remember, the BMM doesn't finish till late next year, according to the progress tracker. There may be more work after that, but we still have Alien Week next year that we'll go through, which is another price increase opportunity. So,
Hey, I'd just like to do a shout out to where I learned all this stuff from. And of course, InfoRunners was super helpful. Lots of InfoRunners videos out there. But originally, I got into CCU chains from some of the older backers in the Jump Club, in the 890 Jump Club. There's a bunch of really nice people in there with lots of information about Star Citizen and its history and lots of tricks and tips. And of course, that leads into the Yacht Club as well. It's kind of the same kind of family of orgs. So a big shout out to the Jump Club and the Yacht Club for being super helpful and trying to explain these CCU chains to people.
No pressure to Joe run, but I want to see a video from your perspective on CCU chains and basically Starlet's version here. I want to see your version, Joe run. See if you can.
we need the Yacht Club version.
Yeah, it's complicated, and not many people would even think of addressing it because it is just such a hard subject to broach.
Yeah, real quick, Cyberwolf asked a question. Have you guys discussed the role change of the Starfare? By the way, Ender, no, feel free to pop in. Cyberwolf asked, have you discussed the role change of the Starfare from a gas refining ship to a refiner and everything mineable now? Well, that a little bit goes into something you brought up earlier, Execute, and you brought it up as well, Starlet, where, possible functionality coming online could increase the price of the Starfare. What's the Starfare's current pledge price?
The Gemini at least is what, 340?
So the Gemini is 340 and the Starfarer is 300.
Gotcha. And
it's going to become a full-on refining ship by the sounds of it, and it's going to get the refueling, which it always was supposed to have, as the game loop.
I don't think it's going to go up because it had a fundamental change. Like when Chris said, "Oh, it's losing the ability for Quanta," people just freaked out and people bailed on that ship in droves. And the fact that it's kind of already released and in game, we are seeing two exceptions to that, though. We have seen the Aquila go up in price, and that's right, or the Constellation series, rather. I shouldn't call it the Aquila, the Constellation series, and we're now seeing the Caterpillar. But you have to ask yourself why. And I think the Constellation, and that shows that some other ships are coming in that area. But that area is very blocked. That $220 price point. There are so many ships in that $200. It's ridiculous. There's like 20 of them. It's insane. And things like the Caterpillar going up in price, you sit there and you ask, well, why is that going up in price? And to me, I think that's going up in price because we're possibly going to see the modules coming along. And why are you distracting with me this hideous face?
Ender has popped into our voice chat, so I'll throw his face up as an honorary that he's joined chat, just to let everyone know he is here with us vocally.
How you doing, Ender?
Hey, Ender.
Yeah, we can't hear him.
Hello.
You failed, Ender.
Testing.
We can't hear you.
Check 1 2.
Oh,
check.
no, we can hear
Hey,
you.
Ender. How's it going?
Yes.
Jeez. Hi, Starlet. Hi, Execute. How are you guys?
So was that terribly dull? I think that was terribly dull.
It wasn't dull to me. This is some of it I've learned, but a lot of that I had no idea about. So this was, thank you, Minka. This was really, really informative to me, and it's going to be a lot of really good information for a lot of people.
It reminds me, anything too, like if you, sometimes when we're researching episode topics and stuff and Execute, you probably run into this, especially because you do a lot of profession videos and stuff. If you want to figure out CIG's plan for drones, for example, you got 10 years of archives you have to look through. I remember I think it was Repairing. I found a video that was really old. I mean, it must have been from 2014 or something, showing repairing, and they had like white boxing going on with like control arms and stuff. And I was like, "Whoa, I've never seen this before." But it's also so old that it's relevant, but it's also completely out of date. So again, you got to remember, there's people coming into the game just now. I mean, we just saw over this past 6 months. I mean, we've seen more and more, elite players starting to come over to Star Citizen stuff, and you have to remember they don't have this backlog of information. And let alone all the CCU information. It's complicated. So yeah, this stuff can be very helpful.
Well, we have a series called Ship Scrutiny, which basically does exactly what you've described. We go back and we grab all the data that they've ever shown, and then try and okay, so it's been updated here, so this stuff is now irrelevant and stuff like that, because they do change, unfortunately. And yeah, it's really fun though. Like, we did an episode, like me and Alfred go back and it's like, oh shit, we forgot about this. So I remember we've done ones on the Crucible, the Caterpillar, and you go back and they really do increase the value of those ships. Right. So I'm not saying go watch our videos, but if you go back and look for older stuff on some of the older ships, it will really improve your appreciation of what those ships actually are.
Yeah. I mean, even when we were doing our Endeavor episode, actually, we had mapped out a ton of information on the Endeavor, and we were cycling all through it. And then Starlet, you had sent me a PDF it was a Jump Point issue, but it was real early. Like, the entire issue looked completely different than what they look like now. And it had all this information about the Endeavor. I'm like, oh man, where did this come from? Now I need to cycle through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is a lot to catch up on, especially if you're coming in.
Also, I will say, if you're new to the game and you are looking for assistance, definitely go check out the Inforunner stuff. I know he's not going to say it, but
a lot of good content there.
I don't talk myself up very well. I would say though, look, if there is any new players watching this, just get a starter pack, be patient, and learn. Yeah. That's probably what I'd say. But just pick up a starter pack. Don't just jump into something bloody huge. Just get a starter pack. Start with that. Go around in game and look at other people's ships. Find out what you want to do. You've got the interest of time.
Yeah.
You do not have to dive straight into a Javelin or 76 of them or whatever. You have the advantage that there is a lot of people that have already spent money. Make some friends and use their spaceships. They're going to need crew. Yeah. You don't need to, I think our standard recommendation at the moment is still just get like a Titan starter pack.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
And this isn't a hard and fast rule, but ships like the BMM, the Endeavor, there's not a ton of those that are going to just see, constant or massive price increases. Like for the BMM, for example, right now, where I personally think every sale opportunity they have the chance to raise the price, they're going to raise it because they need to get it up. And it's going to be crazy if they just do a $500 bump. They need to kind of keep bumping it up little by little. There's not many of those ships in that position. If you take a ship like the Redeemer pretty much stayed $220, even though it went through a size increase and a role change. Now, when it goes flight ready here in 315.1, I would imagine it's going to go up, right? Because isn't it still 220?
It's going to go up heat.
It's 250, and I'm actually expecting like Starlet, it's going to go up maybe $100. We've talked about this before, me and Starlet. So yeah.
But but most ships kind of stay the same for their gestation period through the pipeline up until they get closer. Not every ship goes up in price every sale opportunity. You know what I mean?
Well, what you're saying is what I kind of said before about there's very few older, like there's only a couple of older ships left that basically that's where you're going to see those massive price increases.
Yeah.
So you're just reiterating what I said. So and the last ones left are pretty much now the Banner Merchantman's kind of showed its cards, right? You've pretty much only got the Crucible and the Endeavor left. Is there any others I'm forgetting there, Starlet, that you can think of? I'm pretty sure it's just the Crucible and the Endeavor at this point where we're going to see those big mashes of influxes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a couple more, but it's a bit weird. I think they might do some Pioneer CCUs at some stage. It's going to go up in value when it gets closer, but it's a bit weird.
I would love to get a Pioneer, but I'm not going to pay $850 outright. I would CCU something else into it, and the fact that I can't do that kind of annoys me.
Do we think that the Polaris is done with its climb? Because I sort of feel like the Polaris is another
Now,
ship that's going to go up to like the
when
$950 mark. Or 900.
guaranteed when it becomes flight ready, it will go up, and
Yep.
it's going to go up past today too. Surely, it's going to go up another $7,500.
Yeah.
So that was one of the that's still in that newer bracket. If you go back and look at go through the older stuff, it was one of the first ships that came out around where they remetriced everything, and they were really starting to roll a lot more of the bigger ships out. It's not going to have that drastic size increase. And yes, a lot of ships do increase in size, like you mentioned the Corsair before and stuff like that. But that is the exception, not the rule. But it is far more common with ships that are way older, right? And the only two old ships we really have left are the Endeavour and the Crucible. All the others, so the Banner Merchantman was one of the last ones. The Carrack was actually in the newer bracket. I can go through and I can tell you all the ones, but
is the Starliner
real old ones
an old one?
No.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
Well,
I don't know why I was thinking that was pre-2016.
But that is definitely going to get a rework because it was the first Crusader ship.
Yeah.
And so it's old by manufacturer standards. So this is what's convoluted. It's hard to...
Yeah.
You're picking ships and I'm going, oh, no, this breaks this rule, this breaks that rule. Yeah. And that's just a knowledge thing. And new people are going to struggle with that. Yeah. And let's be honest, a lot of us older people struggle. And the way we get through it is people like Starlet, myself, talk with each other, and that's how you go. What do you think? What do you think? And you kind of get a group consensus, and that's the best way to go about it. That's the only way we have to combat this because it's too convoluted.
Yeah. By the way, I know some people are talking about Crucibles and Starliners in chat. One thing I'll go ahead and mention is that after our IAE episodes coming up, because we're going to do a bunch of probably a few shorter episodes during IAE instead of one big one, I am planning an episode that's going to be pretty much like our Endeavour episode was, a real deep dive, but it will be on the Crucible and Starliner, and I have a bunch of really cool visuals coming for that, including a couple versions of the Crucible, because the Crucible, if you've seen the Aegis cinematic, the Crucible exists as one thing represented there. That I used holo models and stuff and put that together. But that's not the only holo model of the Crucible that exists. There's other holo models that exist that are different, and some substantially different, and I'll show those off. So,
I just want to shout out as well to one of the people in our chat, Paco. We call him the CCU master in the 890 Jump Club, and some of the chains that he's put together over the years are just off. We've kind of got a leaderboard of who can make the cheapest Polaris, for instance, and oh my god, I think Paco's somewhere down the low $300, maybe high $200 mark. It's crazy.
Cool.
He's also mentioned the Orion there. Yeah, that's a good one too.
Polaris 29. I mean, wow. Yeah. Okay, it's cool.
Well, it's interesting too. Speaking of the Orion and the Starliner, both of those are on the progress tracker for reconcepting, not ship production, but ship concepting team for next year. So that'll be kind of interesting. Those are going to kind of go through their pipeline again. And sometimes John Crew likes to hint on those ships when they're making their way through reconcepting or have gone through reconcepting. He does like to kind of drop hints about, if they've grown or if, what those changes may be. For example, with the Polaris, it's listed as a 155 meter ship. John Crew has said it has grown. He did say it is still in the 100s. So I think it's somewhere between 155 and 199 meters, but that's still a lot of room to grow and a lot of opportunity for a price increase. Anything else, Starlet and Execute, before we head off for the night? Anything else we wanted to talk about related to CCU chains?
Next episode, I'll be talking less. Come and see us.
I was going to say to Grim on a personal note, if you end up doing that, because you're going to do the episode on the Crucible, watch the one we did on the Crucible, because there was a lot of stuff me and Algrid found that even if you go through and look at the videos yourself after you've watched it,
that was a great episode. Actually,
stuff in that ship.
Yeah, I watched that one a couple times actually, and then you did a follow-up episode to it. That's really good.
We went back and found more stuff.
Yeah, you find more stuff.
We were like, we thought we knew what we were talking about, and then we were like,
Yeah.
we were like, hang on, there's all these videos that we haven't seen, and it totally changed because, like, do you know the ship can repair itself?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Like,
yeah, and it's really interesting ship because it's like little repair bay, can actually detach. It doesn't need it. There's a couple of different repair bays, and I'm curious if that is through just different designs CIG has done, or if it'll actually be able to equip different types of bays. Because I personally myself have 2 different bays for it from models. So we'll explore some of that.
I'd like to see a ship one and like maybe a vehicle one or something like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the other things that you can totally have the Scarab remove, and they show a lot of shots in videos of like retaliators and constellations, like the nose of the ship parked in there and stuff like that. So they've put a lot of thought into it. And then yeah,
I think, the Starliner, for example, a lot of people say, oh, it's going to change wildly. I actually expect the Starliner to stick semi-close to what it looks like, maybe with some engine changes and stuff. The Crucible, though, is the one that I think is going to undergo Carrack level redesign. And there's a couple reasons for that, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say before we move on about the Genesis. I think if they ever change it, they talked about it like changing the internals. I don't think it'll have drastic stuff. So basically, like a seated version and a version that you can put vehicles in, and then because it's got multiple floors, you can just change the floors. So what I mean by that is you could have all seats or all vehicles or a combination.
Yeah. And I believe there was variants discussed of that ship too, and I'm pretty sure there's a military variant discussed and stuff like that. I don't know if those would go on sale, but they were at least discussed. So anyways, everyone, again, IAE is next Friday. We will not be doing our Friday night long Starjump Station episode, but we will probably just do some shorter, like 30-minute episodes throughout the event. Not every day, but maybe every couple of days, just to kind of catch up and just casually discuss what's going on. So very opinion-based sort of discussion. And then after IAE, again, we are planning a Starliner Crucible kind of episode, sort of like our Endeavor episode. And we got some other cool stuff planned. Also, probably sometime towards the end of the year, I am planning on giving like the first kind of teaser for the next cinematic, which has been in pre-production for a while. Because obviously, as I've said before, we're trying to do some stuff that is way beyond anything we did in the previous cinematics, like actual planetary surfaces, characters, all that stuff. But we hope to be able to give like the first teaser of that. And possibly, maybe that teaser will include the Titan suit. I'm close to finishing it. It looks really, really cool. So hopefully we'll be able to show that off to everyone, and maybe do like a little behind the scenes on how we built the Titan suit from concept art. So that's going to be about it. Thanks everyone for joining. Again, sorry. Ender couldn't be on for the full show, but Execute, appreciate you joining us. Everyone, if you have not checked out Info Runners, what are you doing? They're one of the first content creator groups that I tuned into when I was first getting into Star Citizen and followed along with them. And more importantly than that, Execute has been a big supporter of Starjump from the beginning when I was releasing the cinematics and no one had heard of Starjump at all. He was one of those people that was really trying to push it out there to everyone, and Execute, I really appreciate you doing that. It helped kind of accelerate the channel and stuff like that, and you and people like DG and Joran and other people out there have really just been great supporters and stuff and kind of spreading the love. So really appreciate that. Starlet, thank you for running us through what is, I think, a pretty detailed CCU metagame episode. We will definitely take the visuals we had, of course, without our pretty faces, and we are going to put together a very succinct, tightly edited, obviously I'm hoping to get it maybe around the 30-minute mark, tightly edited CCU info episode that is purely for information. It won't be in this streaming format. It'll be all full screen and tightly edited, very informative. So we'll do that. But thank you all. Ender, hope you have a great birthday. Enjoy the family.
Oh, thank you. I did want to just real quick go over a couple of charity items.
Sure.
hit our goal within 2 minutes of starting our stream last Saturday. So I did up the goal to $200. We're currently at 105 for the month for Movember, which is men's health, prostate cancer, testicular cancer. Check your nuts, guys. And it's also for men's mental health as well, and suicidal awareness and prevention. So if you guys are interested in that, we will not be doing a stream tomorrow for it, but Saturdays we typically do a charity stream. So
we need to check your boobs for the girls too.
Yes,
that's right.
We do that every. I think that's September.
Yep.
But yes, check your boobs all the time.
Yes.
If you're a guy, you should be checking your girls' boobs every chance you get. But that's just me.
Cool. Well, thank you, Ender. Appreciate it. Tonight we will raid Shadowkin. Everyone, have a great night. Thanks for joining us. Again, I know it was kind of another long episode. We're having a lot of internal talks here at the Starjump offices about maybe getting the runtime of these shows down a little bit. But, we try not to stick a specific runtime to them, just whatever's comfortable. But appreciate everyone sticking around with us for these. These are really cool and a lot of fun for us to do. So thank you, everyone. Execute, Starlet. Appreciate it. We will start the raid here.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yep. It's been fun, as always. All right. Let's see here. We're raiding now.